The Malaysian authorities have shut down 2 factories suspected of illegally recycling electronic and plastic waste. The move comes a week after the government seized more than 100 shipping containers containing e-waste destined for illegal smelters operated by Chinese gangs. That haul marked a sharp increase from the 47 containers confiscated last year. Now, officers from the Environment Ministry raided 2 factories in Kedah State. They found 1,600 tons of electronic and plastic waste stored at the sites. Authorities are investigating whether the plastic trash was imported illegally. Malaysia has banned shipments of e-waste and plans to stop importing plastic waste next year in an effort to reduce air and water pollution. But for crime syndicates, the trash could literally be gold, as electronic waste contains valuable metals, including gold, silver and copper. Now, for more on this, Afifah Ariffin joins us live now from Kuala Lumpur. Afifah, how significant is this raid for the government's efforts in curbing unlicensed waste imports?
Well, Malaysia has been intensifying its efforts to curb unlicensed waste imports, especially in recent years. It's a member of the Basel Convention, an international agreement designed to reduce the movement of hazardous waste between nations. So already, Malaysia prohibits the import of e-waste. Now, the government has significantly increased raids and inspections, and the figures that they found are quite alarming. So, for example, like you said, in 2023, the authorities seized a total of 47 containers carrying e-waste, but that number has tripled to more than 140 containers found within the first 6 months of this year alone, and 106 of them were seized between the months of May and June. So clearly, it's an escalating problem for the government to deal with. Now, these containers, they originate from various parts of the world, including the US and several European countries. And Malaysia also saw a surge in imports from Western exporters who shipped this waste to various destinations in Asia following a hard ban on waste imports by China back in 2017. Now, the government has acknowledged the involvement of syndicates in the illegal importation of waste into the country. And these syndicates, they usually use fake documentation and false declarations to import the waste under the guise of recycling. And these syndicates, they often use intermediaries or fake companies to handle waste import. And this makes it very difficult for the authorities to identify or apprehend the actual masterminds behind these operations. And we also know that these operations, they involve a very complex network with international players, and thus complicating a lot of the enforcement efforts. But for them, it's a very lucrative business for these syndicates. The government estimates actually that 1 container of illegal waste that they seized could earn these companies about $16,000. So the total 140 containers that the Malaysian authorities seized so far this year represents about $2.2 million.
So, Afifah, as the government ramps up its efforts, what else are authorities doing to stop illegal waste recycling in the country?
Well, one of the key things that the government did was that it passed an act in Parliament this year to increase the penalty. So previously, those found guilty could be fined up to about $100,000 and jailed for 5 years. But what some of these companies and syndicates used to do was simply pay off the fine because they could still turn a profit. So now the maximum fines have been increased to about $2 million with mandatory imprisonment not exceeding 5 years. The Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Ministry is also very committed to resolving this issue. Its Minister Nick Nazmi said he is working together with other agencies to really tackle this issue comprehensively. The authorities on their end have alerted, and they are engaging with countries where all of these illegal imports originated from. And they also plan to raise discussions about this issue at a regional and international level, so using bodies like ASEAN as well as forums like COP. And interestingly also, in Malaysia, there are about 175 e-waste facilities across the country. And some of these companies, they actually have asked the government to allow the imports of this e-waste for them to process it. So this is something that the government is open to, although it's still something that's being studied.
Afifah, thank you very much for that. Afifah Ariffin there, live in Kuala Lumpur.